Hi guys, welcome to Origin. In my last video I talked about what we could do to improve popular music, to improve mainstream music. Now, if there was any truth to anything I said, and it could possibly happen within the next few years, should existing artists who produce their music through the current means, through record labels, should they be worried? And to answer that question, we need to consider this almost like an example of evolution. So you have a species which is adapted to a certain environment, then faces a situation where the environment's changed, and they're no longer adapted to that species. Yes, they will die off, unless they can adapt to it. Now, the advantage that musicians have over a species is that we can change a lot faster. We don't need to rely on completely random changes in our DNA. We can look at this situation, think about it, realise it's going to affect us, and then adapt as necessary. So the question of will you survive in a post-label era has exactly the same answer as can you adapt to a post-label era? Remember, the only thing that could change is the structure of the industry. The people who listen to the music, they'll be exactly the same. Their tastes won't have changed. There won't be anything different about them. And you would have an advantage over everyone else because you've already built up a huge audience. It's possible, and there are many successful examples, of musicians completely reinventing their style without changing who they are, and still being as successful, if not more successful, than they were before. Metallica started out in thrash metal, developed an incredible following, then in the 90s moved to a more mainstream rock sound. Yes, alienated a lot of their fans, but also gained a huge number of new ones, more than they had before. And their albums consistently went to #1. Queen started out in progressive rock, but then moved to become one of the most famous bands ever, producing some of the most famous songs ever. If you're used to producing the kinds of songs that I described in my previous video, 4 chords, rigid pop formula, the same tired old themes with no new spin on it, then yes, maybe you should be a bit worried and a bit conscientious about what you produce in the future because it may not be enough anymore. But if you already work very hard on your craft, and I don't want this message to be lost because I am attacking mainstream music in general, but there are always exceptions. There are a lot of mainstream artists that work very hard on what they produce. Those people, they probably won't have to change at all. And consider this, when you don't have a record label claiming some of the profits that you make off of your songs, by how many times will your income multiply when you produce everything yourself? How much more respected would you be as a completely DIY musician? So should you be worried? Only if you religiously hate change. And how incompatible would that view be within the creative arts? Thank you for watching. Goodbye.